So, holy cow, Fat Man Zoom. The stock market never ceases to amaze. Tesla is now up 20% over the last 2 days. It's been an amazing move. And we got some theories and where we think that the stock is headed from here and who might actually be buying up this much Tesla as well. But man, just give me your initial reactions on Tesla over the last couple of days.
Life is good. That's my initial reaction. Yeah. Listen, you got to... I know the FOMO settling in for some people, but those that are in are probably super happy, and I'm sure they're wondering what to do with it. So hopefully we can answer those questions, why the stock is moving, but also which the strategy should be leading up to the S&P 500.
Yeah. So, and somebody had some questions. I think we had a question from one of our Chaos Crew members about, the S&P, its inclusion in the S&P 500 and what the process is, right? Do you want to ask that real quick?
Yeah, so Nathan from the Chaos Crew, Funny Pranks Gone Wrong, said, what will happen when Tesla joins the S&P 500? Can you explain the process? Will they be mass buying? Will this drive up the price? How it affects other stocks? And what strategy should they employ? Yeah,
so the S&P indices announced that, Tesla is going to the S&P 500 by December 21st. And they're reaching out to the index itself, those who are involved in it, and trying to ask them, how do we handle this? Does it just all get done at once? Does it get done in two tranches, meaning like half during one period and half the other? We talked about this in our live stream not too long ago, that this is a little bit unprecedented that it's going to be taking this long to get the inclusion to happen, but it's because of how much weight that Tesla actually carries that could heavily influence the market. And we've kind of seen how Apple influences the S&P, right? Amazon can influence the S&P. Any one of those fangs that do poorly that day, and it kind of just drags the whole market down. And so this is potentially going to be a hazard or a area of concern as far as Tesla is concerned, because Tesla's now one of the 5 largest companies by market cap in the world. So it is going to be interesting to see how that plays out. So that is one thing that they're trying to figure out at this point. We have no official word on that just yet. So in order for them to include this in the S&P 500, shares will have to be sold out of other companies in order to basically scoop this up. So about $51 billion worth of shares of companies already in the S&P 500, and they're going to use that money to buy shares of Tesla, is what the number is.
Yeah, so, obviously we're going to find out at some point before the 21st who's getting kicked out, who's getting the boot from the S&P. But it's likely they're not going to have the market cap near Tesla. It's unlikely that it will happen. So what's going to have to happen is they're going to have to get out. And then you talked about a rebalancing. So it's going to be an interesting go. But what people have to understand, why is this so important? When you compare it to things like Battery Day, when you compare it to things like the split, the split was not material. Like that was that was a catalyst in a certain respect, but nothing really fundamentally changed. This is different. What's really changing is the institutional part of it, where now it's not just retail investors, there's institutional investors that have to carry it beyond just the S&P because it's now included. So that should help the price. Now, I do want to mention, when we look historically, we looked at the last 3 stocks that were included in the S&P, and in the lead up, it was largely sideways. Yeah. So this is different. There's a couple of factors that are different, but I don't think this is a straight line move. I think there's going to be pullbacks and opportunities, but that's where the institutional investors are going to come into play. Sort of the supply and demand is going to come into play as well.
Yeah, I mean, about 19% move over the last 2 trading days. We're bound to see some sort of pullback, so it makes a lot of sense. I do think that the trajectory here is that we get this up over $500 a share. We got that close to that today, around $495, I think was about the high for the day. We're about, we just closed, the market just closed as of this recording. So, I think that $500 mark is definitely going to become a reality, and it might sit above 500. I mean, I just go back to the inclusion means that the investment funds index in the S&P 500 will have to sell about $51 billion worth in order to buy up, and where Tesla will be made up of about 1% of the S&P 500. That is an insane amount of money to be buying up with Tesla. It's incredible, man.
Yeah. And I mean, when you look at, we're going to start hearing rumblings of other people investing in it, right? Other big names, companies that are going to be investing in it. And when we look back on it, it's going to be a windfall as far as the dollars that are going to flow into it. And that it should only benefit everybody involved in the process.
Yeah. I mean, JP Morgan came out today. Morgan Stanley came out today. And Morgan Stanley, a particular analyst with Morgan Stanley, hasn't been all that bullish on Tesla. Felt as if it was overvalued, and now it comes out after the S&P inclusion, upgrades this to $540 a share, comes out and says all kinds of crazy things about it, that this is going to be the Internet of Cars opportunity. And he said that, I'm just reading it here, is prerequisite to unlock further upside to the stock. Talks about not just the auto side, but the energy side. It's so funny to hear about. I'm just reading down the list. He says the insurance business is worth about $15 a share. The ride sharing is around $38 a share, which I think that's a low number for the ride sharing part of it. The software network services is the bigger part of this. This is where I think that the most bullish Morgan Stanley is, and they have that at $164 a share. And I think that's probably pretty close to being accurate as far as I'm concerned. But everybody's finally realizing what we've been saying for the better part of a couple of years now. It seems that Tesla is not just an auto company, and I've been reinforcing this idea that it's a company full of startups. And that's where the real value lies with this company. And I know that's why it's been so hard for other analysts to really kind of figure out how to evaluate this company. But when I like the way that Morgan Stanley broke this down, sector by sector within the company, as far as insurance business is worth $15 a share and so on and so forth. So I thought that was a really good breakdown. And I still think that they're undervaluing this in certain areas, but overall it makes a lot of sense. And I think that you're going to start to see more analysts latch on to that mentality or that mindset. And you're going to start to see higher valuations of Tesla for sure.
Yeah, and that's where the challenging part comes in, because Tesla has, obviously, there's been an impact with the lockdown, but it hasn't performed like that. Yeah. And so it hasn't performed like a tech stock, like a cloud stock, or a software stock. But year to date, it's up 500% and 600% a year out. Yeah. I mean, the question really becomes like, okay, what is the ceiling on this, at least for the short term? We both are very bullish long term. If you have long term, don't touch it. Yeah. If you want to add to it, but set it and forget it. But short term, you think about pre-split, the split was 5-1. We're at basically $2,400 a share. Yep. We're approaching that $2,500 a share if we hit when we break 500. And so, I mean, at one point, does it just become kind of silly? So that's why when I'm really looking at the strategy, and I'm interested to hear your strategy on that, I think realistically, I do feel like this is largely going to be a volatile, essentially a sideways proposition, much like Etsy was leading up to December 21st. I think we see it get back down to 460 for sure. I'm confident it gets back to 460. We could see it go down to 440, but I do see it tapping that, going above that 500 mark and toying around with that 500 mark. Now, does the move come after the entry, or does it come before and then there's profit taking? But for anybody who's worried about, the FOMO or not getting into it, don't rush it. Yeah. Be patient. Tesla's like any other stock. If you want to, we want to believe that it's different, but there's opportunities that are created. I think I wouldn't be surprised if it gets to 460 and you get an entry in at 460, which I think's a buy, at 440 for damn sure is a buy. Yeah. I think that the days of Tesla being under 400 are probably behind us. As far as my own strategy is concerned, I agree 100% with you. I think that we're going to see some volatility leading up to December 21st. I think we're going to see less volatility after that date as more institutional investors come into this, because at this point,
the retail investors far outweigh the institutions. Well, getting into the S&P, the big money is going to start rolling into this thing. And I think that's really what's going to get it moving. So if it does come back to that mid $400 range, which very likely that it could happen, I don't think that it sits there too much longer. So I would definitely, if it were me, take advantage of that opportunity, because I don't know if we'll see it down there for too much longer when you start to see real big money rolling into this. And I wanted to bring this to your attention, as well as the rest of our viewers, that some other people have that same kind of sentiment. Electric just put out an article today, which is a periodical. Do people still use periodical, that term? But anyways, it's a website that's is focused on just electric EVs, all that good stuff. They're obviously really big into Tesla, but one of their writers brought this notion that potentially Berkshire Hathaway could be getting into Tesla. Now, this has been a source of contention for a long time. Everybody couldn't understand why Warren Buffett wouldn't jump on the Elon train, especially when he was buying EVs out in China and Asia, but for some reason couldn't bring himself to getting into Tesla. But we might start to be seeing this. I'm just reading off of this particular article, and I'll share it in the description if you guys want to check it out. But Frank Peelan of Electric was talking about this, and he pointed out that, and I actually verified this through the 13F filings, that a large number of Tesla shares seem to have gone missing during quarter three, to the tune of about 50 million shares. Now, Berkshire Hathaway put out a filing for confidential investment in a new company that it didn't want to disclose in order not to affect the market. And so that probably means that if you were investing in a very large company and it was a very large amount of money, you could influence the stock quite a bit. We saw that when they were just divesting themselves out of the airlines, right? How that impacted them on a short term. The new investment could be worth around $11 billion. The investment of that size would most likely result in more than 5% ownership in most companies. Unless they manage to obtain an exception from the SEC, the company has to be quite large for an investment of that size, not reaching that 5% ownership. So if you guys don't know about that, it's a 13G filing. If you own more than 5% of a company, you have to put that filing. Berkshire Hathaway has yet to have done that. So with a company of that size, without having to file a 13G, there's 25 companies right now with a market cap of that size that you'd be able to do that with. Berkshire Hathaway owns 9 of them. Tesla falls under that category. So there's definitely some speculation as far as whether or not Berkshire Hathaway could be finally moving their way into. I don't know how this would play out. I have a hard time seeing Buffett maybe moving his way into a company that's already gone up 450% this year. But you just never know. Maybe he's finally coming around to what Tesla actually is and truly seeing this as a value company.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they're a long-term investment company. So everybody gets on their case about them doing things right or wrong.
Yeah.
They're in it for the future. So they don't trade like a lot of you all trade.
Right. They don't time. He doesn't try to time the market, essentially.
Yeah, this is great news for them and for us if it's true.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. There's only going to be more chatter. You're going to hear the Kathy Woods. But here's the deal. How do you trade it? We know that if you're not in it, be patient. Patience is going to be key. You're going to get an opportunity. If you are in it, it's really important to, I wouldn't try to get cute. I was talking to somebody today, like, don't get cute with this.
Yeah.
Have a strategy. That's right. The point. We always say have a strategy. We'll never be upset about taking green, but I would encourage anybody to make sure that there's still something you have some skin in the game. So I just sold half of my position, and then I'm leaving the rest of the position in there, and I'm just letting it go. I'm riding it till the 21st. If there's a nice dip, I'll add back full position size. If it gets below 450, you better believe I'm in there. So that's how I'm playing. But guys, be patient on this. I know we get antsy on Tesla. I know we want to, think that it's going to the moon. It should do really well. I can only hope it has a run like Etsy. 45% run. Like it was 1 month. So 4 days before the actual inclusion, September 21st, Etsy goes on a 45% run 30 days after that. So it was pretty incredible. I don't think we're going to see that move after the inclusion, but we can see a considerable 40% move through this whole process.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if we take a look at the chart here, I have this pulled up on the daily. This is finally broken out of a wedge. So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, if we draw this trend here on the chart, and again, I'm looking at the daily and just kind of observe the higher lows that we've been seeing, and then also look at the highs here. It started to consolidate down in what we would call a rising wedge pattern. And so when you start to see this break out, that's when you could start to really see a move. Now, obviously, a catalyst has started this breakout, but nevertheless, from a chart perspective, it's broken out quite nicely. Now, I think that Tesla would have to try to retest down here around 440 to confirm this breakout. It would have to hold above 440 to confirm this breakout. I think that it could, which is why we were talking about, maybe 460 or 440 being pretty clear buys as long as it held those levels. So as you can see, we have a plan set in place. And if you guys don't have one, then make sure you get yourself one, because it's going to be super important going into that December 21st date. Also, thereafter, if you're looking to be a short-term investor into this, or if you're looking to be into this long-term, obviously with long-term, you don't necessarily have to worry about a plan so much as to just hold it at this point. But if you're looking to make some short-term gains on this as well, that's how I would set up your plan leading into the end of the year. Man, I don't know how I would feel about selling more than half my position at this point leading into the end of the year. I just think it's going to be Christmas coming early, my man.
Don't get cute, people. Don't get cute.
Don't get cute. And speaking of cute, hit that cute little like button if you guys like this video. We will be going live at what time tomorrow, Fat Man Zoom?
2 p.m. Eastern time.
2 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you guys are hitting that notification bell to get notified when we actually do go live. If you're not subscribed already to the channel, we certainly would appreciate that as well. And make sure that you're checking out the Chaos Crew as well. That join button next to subscribe. You'll get a daily watch list from us, as well as all kinds of other goodies. Make sure you're doing that to help support the channel. And that is going to do it for me, Fat Man Zoom. Have a good one, bro.
Bye.
See ya.